warrior in the future. A historical cycle is not a natural law, but merely a pattern with a high probability of recurring. From the book How to Make War by Gwyn Dyer. From a societal perspective, one can see the values and ideals of the warrior archetype rise and decline in popularity throughout history. The Indian historian P.R. Sarkar proposes that historical events follow a pattern he describes as consisting of 4 stages: the warrior phase, the intellectual phase, the merchant phase, and the period of anarchy and chaos. Sarkar contends that society achieves its highest peak during the warrior phase and slowly declines until a societal breakdown occurs, after which the cycle begins anew with another new age of the warrior. According to Sarkar and many other historians, including the Greek historian Polybius, the Roman poet Ovid, and the father of modern history A.J. Toynbee, history follows a 4-stage cyclic pattern. The 4 ages. Warrior. This is the age of heroes with high value placed on virtue, honor, strength, courage, and determination. Notable activities include exploration, taming the wilderness, conquering, colonizing, and building. Crime is at its lowest, women's equality at its highest. Wealth is distributed on a meritocratic basis, and the population level recovers from previous lows. Intellectual. This is the age of arts and sciences, valuing new ideas, new inventions, and new techniques. Notable activities include massive building projects, public arts, and the founding of libraries and universities. Crime is low, women's equality remains high, and wealth begins to accumulate towards administration. Population continues to increase. Merchant. This is the age when commerce dominates. In the early stages, a free market allows for some upward mobility and greater prosperity. Eventually, business dominates the political system. Crime increases, women's social status declines, wealth begins accumulating towards oligarchs. Population continues to increase. Chaos. Government corruption reaches such a degree that they are unable to effectively rule. There is a breakdown of law and order. Crime is rampant. Women's status at its lowest point, and because of disease, warfare, and natural disasters, population declines rapidly. Wealth is in the hands of criminals. The age of chaos also has elements of the previous 3 ages, but in a degraded and devolutionary form. Instead of noble warriors, you have street gangs and police thugs. Instead of intellectual honesty in the quest for new ideas, you have orthodoxy, political correctness, and thought crime. Instead of a free and open market, you have a rigged market, monopolies, and organized crime. Traditionally, it is when a society is in crisis that the warrior archetype is called forth, from the book The Code of the Warrior by Richard Fields. The current age. Based on the above theory and examining the current state of the Western world, we can conclude that we are at the end of the merchant stage and heading full steam into chaos. Never before in history have we seen government power reach such a degree of control. This is evidenced in the militarization of domestic police, full-spectrum domestic spying and surveillance, massive government purchase of arms and ammunition, armored vehicles, drones, and fortified checkpoints. Add to this the construction of gated communities and bunkers for the elite, and the endless nibbling away at our rights and freedoms through increasing regulations, laws, and executive orders. These are the signs of a government that is ready to impose a dictatorship. What to expect? Of the four ages, the easiest to predict is the age of chaos. It seems every corrupt empire throughout history uses the same worn out playbook on how to self destruct. Future events usually unfold as follows. Widespread corruption drains the state of its treasury. To recover the losses, the state increases taxation, driving businesses into bankruptcy and employees into poverty. Taxation quickly becomes forcible confiscation of property, precious metals, and food. Food protests turn into riots. The state marches out their henchmen to teach the rabble a lesson. Martial law is declared, and the full array of terror tactics, from unreasonable search and seizure to imprisonment and torture, are used against dissenters. Meanwhile, the lack of government funding leaves the infrastructure to crumble. In the past, this has meant farmlands were either flooded or dried up. Crops failed and starvation ensued. In our modern world, we can add grid failure, no gas to heat your houses or run your vehicles, and no access to clean drinking water. Starving people become desperate and crime increases. Poor nutrition and a lack of funding for hospitals or medical supplies contribute to an increase in epidemic diseases. The state's last play is to start a war, to kill off a goodly number of useless eaters and cower the survivors into submission. Because of the dim forecast for the future, learning the way of the warrior is a practical path to follow, since it will develop the courage, knowledge, and skills that will be needed to survive such an age. Furthermore, as we have seen from the historical cycle, it will be the warrior archetype that heralds a new age of peace and prosperity. The way of the warrior is not just relevant to the future, it is the future.